Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video for Friday, April 18th if you're joining me for the very first time. First of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over my core picks. It's going to be one pitcher, 4 hitters. It's going to be based on a combination of past performance versus their respective opponent, as well as some recent history. And then after that, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for Friday's slate overall. And then also in the morning, I'll be listing my weather report, and that will have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher listed down there. And we'll update that throughout the day at the same time as well. And then I will be posting as many of these starting lineups as I can get to throughout the afternoon and early evening. So definitely be on the lookout for all that, especially as we do get closer to lock. But without further ado, we'll get right into it with the core picks for today. It is a larger slate, so definitely feel free to mix and match. I will say the 4 hitters that I do have here, they're all from different teams, so stacks will definitely play a big part. But if you want to roll these guys out as a part of a stack, as a part of a one-off, you can definitely do that at the same time. But definitely do feel free to mix and match as you do see fit. But we're going to start off at the pitcher position with Logan Webb at $9,800. Averaging over 37 fantasy points per game, goes against Los Angeles Angels, who have been a pretty decent hitting team so far this season. However, Logan Webb does have good history versus them in the past. It's a little bit smaller sample size. He didn't pitch against them in 2024. But if we look at what he's done so far on this season, he's got 2 wins, 2.62 ERA, once again over 37 fantasy points per game at $9,800, and he currently looks like one of the better pitcher values, at least early on the slate. Then we're going to move down to our hitters. We're going to start off with first baseman Matt Olson, all the way down to $2,900, averaging about 8.5 fantasy points per game. A little bit slower start to the season than he would probably have liked. He goes against the Minnesota Twins. Chris Paddack is the expected starting pitcher. He is 2 for 4 versus him in his career. If we look at what Matt Olson's done as of late, he has at least 1 hit in 5 out of his last 6 games. Unfortunately, though, he has 0 multi-hit games during that time span, only 1 home run, 1 double-digit performance, and 2 games of 9 or more fantasy points. So a little bit of a struggle for him as of late and early to start the year. At least he's getting a hit, so it does offer a little bit of a floor there. Obviously, you have the power upside just in general. Chris Paddack has not pitched well to start the season, so I definitely do like the Atlanta Braves and Matt Olson here on Friday night. Then if we look at what he's done on the season in totality, 203 batting average, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, once again average about 8.5 fantasy points per game at $2,900. Then we're going to move down to third base with Wilmer Flores. You could also play him at first base if you decide not to play Matt Olson, but he has $3,200, averaging just under 12.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the Los Angeles Angels. Tyler Anderson on the mound. He's fared very well against him throughout his career. He is 8 for 21 with 1 home run in his career versus Tyler Anderson. If we look at what he's done as of late, he has at least 1 hit in 3 out of his last 5 starts, 2 multi-hit games during that time span, 1 home run, and 3 double-digit performances, and does also have 4 games of 9 fantasy points or higher. So definitely do like what he's done as of late. He's a guy that does typically hit left-handed pitching very well, so definitely like getting to some Wilmer Flores in this matchup going against the Los Angeles Angels and Tyler Anderson just in general. If we look at what he's done on the season in totality, 239 average, 6 home runs, 23 RBIs, and once again averaging just under 12.5 fantasy points per game at $3,200. A little bit more than I like to pay for him, but the RBIs have definitely been there in a pretty strong way for Wilmer Flores throughout the young season. And then we're going to move down to shortstop with Francisco Lindor, another guy that has had this slow start to the season. He is currently averaging just over 9 fantasy points per game at $3,200. He goes against the St. Louis Cardinals. It's Miles Mikolas on the mound. In his career versus Miles Mikolas, he is 7 for 17. He's on a modest 5-game hitting streak. Only 1 multi-hit game during that time span, 0 home runs, and does have 2 double-digit performances. So a little bit more hit or miss with Francisco Lindor, but if we can get some of that hot streak coming out of him going against Miles Mikolas, who he has hit very well in the past, definitely do like the upside of him and this Mets lineup overall. Then we're going to move down to our final player, and it's going to be outfielder Austin Hayes of the Cincinnati Reds. He is going against his former team in the Baltimore Orioles, and the expected starting pitcher for that Baltimore Orioles team is Cade Povich. Austin Hayes is typically going to hit left-handed pitching pretty well. He has on a modest 3-game hitting streak since returning from the injured list, 1 multi-hit game during that time span, 2 home runs, and 2 double-digit performances. So obviously, if you look a little bit more at what he's done so far in the season, 308 batting average, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, averaging over 19 fantasy points per game at $2,500. Definitely do like the upside that he could have once again at a very, very respectable price tag. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that I do currently have listed here, you have $13,400 remaining, just over $3,300 remaining per player. So there is a good amount of salary remaining Once again, definitely feel free to mix and match as you do see fit, whether that's in terms of your stacks, your one-offs, or at that pitcher position on the large Friday slate. Definitely feel free to get a ton of different options out there in terms of lineups, in terms of creativity. A very, very good slate to do that overall. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for Friday's slate. So I ultimately ended up just putting 3 here. There's quite a bit more on my Patreon page notes at the same time as well. Very small monthly donation if you're interested in that. You do get notes Monday through Friday. Probably going to get some additional Saturday ones this week once again, since I will be doing the MLB DFS playbook for Fantasy Alarm. So definitely going to look out for that as well. They do have a paywall for that. If you're interested in it, get some great research throughout the week from a handful of different writers, including myself. But in terms of the stacks that I do have for today, I got the Atlanta Braves going against Chris Paddack. Chris Paddack has really struggled so far on the young season, and the Braves hitters have hit him really well in the past, although it is a pretty small sample size. Then we have the New York Mets going against Miles Mikolas. Mikolas is another guy struggling at the onset of the year, and the Mets have hit him really well in the past. And then I do have the Padres going against Ryan Gusto of the Houston Astros, kind of a lineup that just kind of stood out to me in general. I like into some Fernando Tatis. I like into Manny Machado. You know, the stud players, obviously Luis Ariz is going to mix and match in there at the same time as well. So there is a lot of upside with that Padres lineup just in general. But with that being said, that's what I do have in terms of my core picks and top GPP stacks for Friday, April 18th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And then once again, in the morning, I'll be listing my weather report that will have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher. And then throughout the day, I will be listing as many of these starting lineups as I can get to throughout the afternoon and early evening. If there's any additional changes to the core picks, I will leave them as a pinned comment as well. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking it out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now we have MLB DFS in terms of the core pick videos Monday through Friday. Got my UFL DFS video coming out once a week. Typically that's on either Tuesday or Friday. I think tomorrow I'm going to try to do a live stream probably around 4 or 4:30 Central Time. So if you are in East Coast time, then obviously that's 5 or 5:30. Mountain Time is 3 or 3:30. And then Pacific Time would be either 2 or 2:30 if I did all my math correctly there. But definitely be on the lookout for that. A little bit of a change this week overall, but it's just kind of what I had to do with everything else that was going on this week. So do definitely apologize for that. And then lastly, I will be posting some more NFL draft content, especially as we do head into the NFL draft coming up next Thursday. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you're a brand new user on any one of those 3 sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's 100% match up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS for Friday, April 18th.